Hansel and Gretel. There lived a woodcutter in a tiny cottage in the forest with his 2 children. The older brother's name was Hansel, and the younger sister was Gretel. The woodcutter was very poor, and there was not enough food in the house for all of them to live on. One day, the mother took the 2 small children miles away from home, deep, deep into the forest. "You 2 wait here and rest until I return. Don't worry, I'll be back shortly." Saying so, the mother left the 2 and went away. Hansel and Gretel waited for a very long time, but the mother never came back. The forest was getting darker and darker.
"Oh no, Mother isn't coming back for us. I want to go home. What shall we do?" "Don't worry, Gretel. I dropped little white glowing pebbles on the ground along the way here."
The little white glowing pebbles gleamed brightly in the moonlight. The 2 found their way back home hand in hand, following the white pebbles. The next day, the 2 children were led out into the forest again, this time much farther than before.
"Don't cry, Gretel. This time I left trails of breadcrumbs on the ground to mark the way back home."
The 2 tried to find their way back home following the breadcrumbs marks.
"I'm sure I left trails to find our way back."
The breadcrumbs Hansel had dropped were gone. The birds had eaten up every crumb, and there was not one left to show them their way home. Unable to find their way home, the 2 only seemed to get deeper and deeper into the forest. Suddenly, they smelled something tasty and came upon the most wonderful cottage ever. Coming up to the cottage, the 2 were so surprised. The house was built and decorated entirely of sugar candy, chocolate, and cookies. Starving from walking all night, the 2 took a mouthful of candy and feasted themselves. As they were both enjoying themselves, an old lady came out of the cottage.
"Well, well, come inside, dear little children."
The 2 went into the sugar candy cottage. She led the 2 inside the cottage. Surprisingly, there were more treats inside. The table was made of warm, soft bread, and the sofa from puffy pastries. Everything in the room made from treats. "Go ahead, eat as much as you like." Hansel and Gretel took a bite of every treat that was set in front of them. After being full, the 2 were tucked into a cozy bed and fell fast asleep. The children felt as if they were in heaven. Morning came, and Gretel realized that Hansel was missing. Gretel went to search for Hansel. She soon found him locked in an iron cage with strong iron bars outside the cottage. Although the old woman seemed so kind and good, she was really a wicked old witch who loved to catch fat little children and eat them.
"Put yourself to work, Gretel. There's plenty of work for you to do since I am going to roast your brother Hansel for dinner."
Poor Gretel had no choice but to obey the wicked witch. Gretel was forced by the wicked witch to light the fire and heat the great stone oven in order to prepare roasting her brother Hansel.
I must come up with a good idea to help Hansel.
The wicked witch evilly said to Gretel,
Gretel, run and see if the great stone oven is hot enough. You know it's important to heat the oven very high when roasting your brother. I can't tell if it's hot enough or not. What nonsense, you useless child! Step away. In that case, I'll see for myself.
but when the witch bent down to peek inside the oven and check the heat, push, slam, shut. Gretel gave her a tremendous push and slammed the oven door shut. The witch had come to a proper end. Gretel ran to the iron cage and set Hansel free. As they looked inside the Wicked Witch's cottage, there were diamonds, pearls, and many other treasures, so they filled their pockets with them.
Gretel, let's take the treasure with us and go back home.
They set off into the deep forest, searching their way home. Hansel and Gretel walked for days in the deep forest in search of their way back home. This time, luck was on their side. They came in sight of their own little hut. The father was overjoyed when the children rushed into his arms. He had never known a moment's happiness since the mother left the children in the woods. She was turned out of the house because she left them.
Father, we are back!
Oh, my dear children, welcome back home. Thanks to the Wicked Witch's treasure, they now had riches enough to last them all their days, and they would never be hungry again. The end.